STRS 15 apologizes for the several hundred years of wrongs that the federal government has perpetrated against Native Americans.
This is an apology to the Native people from the United States. It's an apology that attempts to start the reconciliation process. It doesn't end the wrongs, but it does acknowledge them. It doesn't fix everything, but it starts the dialogue. I noticed it when I started to travel across my state and meet with tribal leaders and individuals, just this deep-rooted bitterness. And I wondered, what's this about?
These things still live with us today, that intergenerational trauma, that grief, and that sometimes that anger for all of the atrocities and wrongdoings. The Trail of Tears, the forced removal from eastern tribes to Indian territory in that time of Oklahoma. Many people died along the way. To the people in Sand Creek, the Cheyenne, who were massacred, men, women, and children were massacred by the United States Cavalry, Colonel John Chivington. The boarding school experiences, not 200 years ago, but one generation ago. My own father went to school at Pipestone, Minnesota, and ran away 4 times. He was physically punished for speaking his language, the Hidatsa language. The Wounded Knee massacre in South Dakota. The Gatling guns turned on men, women, and children in December.
The natives that were here were at peace with the United States. It signed a peace treaty. They didn't have any weapons. It was cold, bitter winter. We've documented over 127 massacres of Native Americans in the United States. The only states where massacre did not occur was in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Iowa, and Missouri. We cannot visit these places without feeling the hurt, the sadness.
Dr. Swallow began to tell us about the Ouachita Massacre. Found out that it was Jay's great-great-grandfather, Chief Black Kettle, who's the peace chief of the Cheyenne tribe, was camped on the Ouachita River in western Oklahoma when General Custer rode down with his men upon the encampment and slaughtered, we don't know exactly how many, but probably way over 150 of the Native American people there, the Cheyenne people who were encamped peacefully.
I found myself bitter when it came down to that account. Extremely bitter.
And Chief Black Kettle was in the leadership. My heart broke when I saw the site. I began to realize this is real, it really happened, and my forefathers are responsible for it, and I'm so sorry. The Native people, not only the Cheyenne people, but many, many tribes know what took place at that spot. I began to put myself in their place, and I began to realize if my ancestors had been slaughtered, murdered, lied to, killed like that, I would have a lot of bitterness and a lot of resentment in my heart.
We've carried this thing so long, and we have found out that it has hurt us more than it's hurt those that we've been angry with.
We're still very high in suicide. It's out of control in some areas. Our dropout rate with our children is the highest. They don't make it.
When I look at Native people and the problems that we have, say with suicide or alcoholism or unemployment, abuse, those are symptoms of a much deeper issue. I believe that the greatest obstacle that Native people face today is unresolved anger, hatred, and bitterness.
In introducing this resolution. So this apology resolution, to me, is a giant and historic step to move towards apologizing for those wrongdoings, those ill-fated policies of what happened to the Indian nations, and really begin the healing, because you can't begin the healing unless you say formally by the United States, the Senate that authorized war against the Indians or that forced removal of uprooted tribes from their homelands. It has to come to this level for the United States government, from the Senate and the House, to do that, to make this apology real.
I think if we get it up for a vote on the floor, it'll pass overwhelmingly. But generally the holdups in these things are that people look at it and say, well, what all does this mean? And then people say, well, I didn't do that. Somebody else may have, but I didn't do that. Why should I be apologizing? And yet, If we're ever going to move forward uniting people, you've got to address it.
A lot of people are afraid, and congressmen and stuff about reparations and everything, but that's not what it's all about. It's not about let's set a standard and then we're going to use that to get everything that we ever wanted. That's not what that's about. It's about healing. It's about spiritual healing, emotional healing. They need to hear that, you know, because the Native peoples have been done so wrong.
We're not asking for monies and things of this nature. Our people are hurting. We're at a time that we need to really take care of the past so we can go on.
The greatest opportunity for America to be a model to many nations who have indigenous people in them that are suffering.
How powerful that would be. I think it'd go worldwide, I know it would, because you know, even our other countries know the plight of the Native people. They've studied it. They've studied the treatment, how America, the government treated the Native people. And that fuels a lot of hatred for the United States of America.
It would truly be an example lead by example for the world to see. And it would show the countries of Iraq and Afghanistan that America means what it says.
I believe John F. Kennedy said in 1963 that until America honestly deals with the history of Native Americans, it will forever be a point of shame in American history. And so that's still the prevailing attitude of people around the world, that America has some serious making up to do with the host people of the land.
I think that an apology like this is going to restore some of the honor that we have lost in days gone by, so we can walk with our head held high in today's world.
And I call on you as tribal leaders and our friends, our non-tribal friends, to join in this effort of truly supporting this resolution and help educate America.
It's time now to be healed, to get rid of this pain. If this apology is received from the non-native world as well as it is from us, then there will be an open heart, say, come, let us become brothers. Let us walk together.